So I was in the ICU 17 days till I was finally discharged to a specialized spinal cord injury rehab in Boston. While I was in the hospital, I had a trach and feeding tube, so I wasn't able to eat or drink, and I couldn't talk. 4 years ago, I was in college at a school, also in New York. I went on a ski trip with my friends over the weekend at a mountain in Vermont. I have no recollection of the day itself, but I was told that I went skiing with my friends this day. I had a really bad fall. I was spotted by someone on the mountain, and they were able to get to me. I had no pulse. It took them 10 minutes to get my pulse back. Eventually, they were able to resuscitate me, stabilize me enough to airlift me to a hospital in New Hampshire, where I woke up a few days later in the ICU, and they told me I was paralyzed from the neck down and unable to breathe on my own, and I probably wasn't going to recover from that. So I was in the ICU 17 days, and my family came. My friends I were on the trip with, they were waiting outside the hospital because it was COVID, and they were very strict with visitors. So I was in the ICU 17 days till I was finally discharged to a specialized spinal cord injury rehab in Boston. While I was in the hospital, I had a trach and feeding tube, so I wasn't able to eat or drink, then I couldn't talk. I had to mouth all my words, and it was terrible. I was in this specialized rehab in Boston for 4.5 months. I eventually was off the feeding tube and eating real food again, which was really nice, and I also got a surgery called a diaphragmatic pacer implanted. So I got these electrodes implanted on my diaphragm, so I'm able to breathe without a ventilator. So you can see right now I'm not on my ventilator. So it's really nice having the freedom to not rely on it. I still use it because it is hard to breathe sometimes, especially if I'm talking a lot or I use it at night to sleep. But I do have the freedom to not be on it. And so this also enabled me to be able to talk again, and it made my stay there a lot better. So once I left Boston, I wasn't ready to be able to go home yet. I wasn't stable enough or strong enough. My house wasn't renovated. I have 17 steps to get to my house, my front door. So that wouldn't have worked. So I actually got accepted to go to a rehab on Long Island called Glen Cove Hospital. They were actually trying to build up their spinal cord injury rehab program. So this doctor named Dr. Stein decided to take me in. We're so grateful for him. He's my doctor now. He's wonderful. I was at this hospital 4 months, and the average stay for a patient at this hospital is 2 weeks because it's not a hospital for complicated cases like mine. The nurses and aides were amazing. I got very close with them. While I was there, my family was accepted to be on a TV show called George to the Rescue, which is a reality show where they redo people's homes for various reasons, whether it's they were in like a tragic accident or they do good for the community. And a lot of people applied for us. It was back and forth. Were they going to do it for us? Finally, they said, yes, we're going to do it. They did an amazing job. They put an elevator, a ramp. They gave me a beautiful bedroom. Like, that's exactly my taste. They gave me a beautiful art room, which I'm in right now. This is where I do my work. It's where I paint. They gave me a Microsoft Surface to be able to operate using accessibility controls and everything like that. So they did an amazing job. Finally, when I was discharged, my house still wasn't ready for me to be living in it. So I was actually sent to a assisted living, independent living facility near my house called Brandywine. And they also normally don't take people with dogs or younger children, but they made an exception for us. And they were super nice. I was there about 6 weeks till my house was finished. Then they filmed the grand reveal for George to the Rescue, which is on YouTube, and eventually I moved in. And once I moved home, I felt a lot more like myself. I felt happier. I just felt more comfortable. I could tell my parents. It was very isolating, obviously being in the hospital, but also being in Boston, especially for my parents. So once we were all back in our normal setting, it was better. The house wasn't the same. It's not what it was. Neither am I. But it was nice to be back home. And ever since, I've been home for over 3 years now. I work part-time. I paint a lot with my mouth. I have a paint business called Made by Mouth. I sell stuff online on Etsy. And my friends come and hang out all the time. I drive to New York City a lot. We adapt. We do the best we can. I'm very close with my parents, living here with them. And I have full-time caretaking. I have nurses that come in and out to take care of me. So initially, I was on a lot of in the hospital. I feel like I was very numb to the idea. And then a few days into my stay there, it started to settle in, and I felt like I was the saddest person in the world. I thought this was like the worst thing that could ever happen, and it was pretty bad. I couldn't really be distracted either. There's nothing to do in the ICU besides just sit there and watch TV, so it was pretty bad. I think staying busy helped a lot, especially going to the new rehab in Boston, because the therapists were really good, really talkative. They kept you busy, and I would nap a lot. I was exhausted. My body was so tired. And also just being able to like see my friends on the weekends. I had every single weekend, Saturday, Sunday, booked up for the entire 4 months. People had to like book ahead of time, and it was really nice that everybody was willing to make the drive or the flight to come see me, and that did help. I mean, I was still very upset, but it did help seeing them and being busy. And then, like I said, once I moved into my home, that's when I really started to feel a lot better. I would say you can adapt to a lot more than you think. You're a lot stronger than you think. And when you think life's over, life does move on, and you will be able to adapt to what's going on. Yeah, so also what's been a major part of my recovery is the fact that my community, my family, and my friends have been so supportive. And we've done a lot of fundraisers. We've done a lot of fundraising to help pay for my medical bills, a lot of events, and just like the support that everyone's shown. It's been crazy. Like people we don't even know they're putting on events or selling things or donating exorbitant amounts of money to me because they're just inspired by my story or they're moved or whatever the reason. Then we're really, really grateful for all those people and all the businesses that have supported me, and we don't know what we would do without them because like it's a very, very expensive spinal cord injury, and there's so many expenses that we never even thought about. And yeah, so that's a big aspect. And when I say we, I mean my family is in my parents. I have a older brother, Eric, who lives in Manhattan, who I'm close with as well, and who I said was on the trip with me. So that's an important thing to point out is how supportive the Plainview community has been. I think people can learn a lot from what happened to me, and I think that I do inspire a lot of people. I get a lot of lovely messages online, which are like really keep me going sometimes. Just the way that me being able to talk about things that some people can't feel they talk about, or maybe they didn't realize that like there's so much life to be lived even when something bad happens. Like that makes me feel good because I know that something is coming out of the tragedy that happened to me. And I started making videos in the hospital just to like educate people, like this is how I drive my wheelchair, this is how I paint. And then it started to be like dark humor stuff, and sometimes I post like, I guess like motivational things or just day in the life, how I go about doing things. So I really like being able to post on social media. I think I would just say that like me as someone who can't move anything from the neck down and can't breathe, and like I still find a way to go about doing things, living my life and staying busy and maintaining my relationships. I think it really just, hey, it shows me what's really important in life, which is the people that are close to you and your health. Because despite all, I am healthy. Like, I'm not getting any worse. I'm getting stronger. And it just shows me what matters. And I think that if people are struggling or going through a hard time, that they shouldn't take it for granted. Like, all the things they can do in life and, like, all that life has to offer. So that's just a message I would want people to see. And I'm not saying that, like, oh, if I'm able to do it because I can't move, then someone who's upset about something else should be able to do things. I guess I'm just saying that there's so much life to be lived, so just don't take it for granted. And just try to do as much as you can and try to push yourself every day.